Tonight, three chief executive hopefuls debated together for the first time. Approximately 2,800 people attended the Prodemocracy rally. Thanks for your company.
Also in the headlines, West Australian firefighters rally for cancer compensation. And the government will be spending $57 million to widen the Mitchell Freeway in Perth.
This is the Evening News.
Good evening. Chief Executive Hopeful C.Y. Leung, Henry Tang and Albert Ho has together attended a forum held by environmental groups in Hong Kong on Saturday. The discussion has spanned from environment problems to electricity prices in the area. Some environmentalists have urged the CE hopefuls to take action and establish new air quality standards.
Three chief executive candidates attended the forum together for the first time, shook their hands, and started the debate. Although there were no Q&A sessions by the audience, they still retained with a spark of competition. They explained and elaborated their platform of environmental protection, while at the same time environmental organizations urged the government to adopt a new measuring standard of air quality. Yet, Albert Ho and Leung were challenged by a senior manager from the Friends of the Earth, questioning about the capability of them to solve or alleviate environmental problems. When mentioned the situation faced by China's white dolphin, Henry Tang used his sense of humor and said he had long been far from getting on yachts. When asked of restricting the profits of two power firms, Henry and Albert were in the same line, suggesting opening the power network for more competition, where Leung had different opinion. After this, the next time they will be debating together would be mid-March, live on television. Laurent, DHK News, Hong Kong.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, a pro-democracy rally was held in the streets of Hong Kong, protesting against the small circle election. Under the current system, only 1,200 members of the election committee are allowed to select the next chief executive.
The protest begins at Victoria Park, where thousands of people gather and march towards the central government office. The protesters mainly criticized Chief Executive Donald Tsang's integrity after he admitted the accepting overseas trip from wealthy friends and his rental of a luxury flat in Shenzhen. Many demonstrators refused to accept Mr. Tsang's apologised and urged him to resign. The rally organizer, the Civil Human Rights Front, said 5,300 people attended the protest, while the police put out the number at 2,800. William DHK News in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong Chief Executive Donald Tsang fought back tears as he read out his statement apologising for accepting overseas trip on luxury yachts, private jets from his wealthy friends, and his rental of a luxury flat in Shenzhen. During the Q&A session on the Legislative Council, he stressed that he has nothing to hide and will cooperate with the investigation from the ICAC. But as DHK News Hong Kong correspondent reports, the Hong Kong's most powerful man is now fighting to keep his job and the government's reputation just months before he retires.
After heavy criticism from public and media, Chief Executive Donald Tsang finally bowed to pressure and apologized for accepting overseas travel from tycoon friends and renting a luxury flat in Shenzhen.
一連串嘅事件已經令公眾、傳媒輿論、各位議員同埋公務員同事感到憂慮，亦都動搖咗市民對香港制度嘅信心。我為此鄭重向公眾致歉。
Mr. Tsang has revealed that after discussing with his wife, he will give up the rental of the flat in Shenzhen which belonged to a property magnate. He stressed that he will cooperate as the ICAC investigate the case, but he will not step down as chief executive. Tsang also reinstated that he has ensured there will be no conflict of interest before he accepts the offers from his tycoon friends. Despite the apologies, its attempt to restore public confidence towards the government system, New People Party's chairwoman Regina Eve said civil servants are embarrassed by Donald Tsang's double standard, while Civil Party leader Alan Leung said more questions need to be addressed. William DHK News in Hong Kong.
A Approximately 135 firefighters attended a protest at State Parliament House, rallying to get a better health cover as they face a higher risk of getting cancer. While the state opposition has introduced a legislation to assist them, the Emergency Service Minister Troy Buswell said the state government will not support the bill.
The West Australian Labor Party has introduced a new legislation aiming to assist firefighters who developed cancer from the absorption of harmful toxins while on duty. Opposition leader Mark McGowan says under current laws, firefighters suffering from cancer cannot access assistance because it is not possible to prove the cause of the cancer or when they were exposed to the toxins. The new Labour's law, however, will allow firefighters to access medical assistance and workers' compensation in a similar way to other work-related injury, illness or death.
The legislation will have a list of cancers. It will have a list next to it of time you had to serve in the firefighting occupation, and if you acquire that cancer, you've served for that length of time, well then it's a rebuttable presumption that cancer was acquired in the course of your work.
Janet Reid, who lost the firefighter husband Robert kidney cancer in 2009, says that compensation would have helped lessen the burden of her family.
If we had have been able to seek compensation when Robert first been diagnosed with cancer, I feel that we would have been able to get through life easier and just know that we wouldn't have to struggle so hard.
Despite this, Emergency Service Minister Troy Buswell says the government will not support Labour's new bill.
As we've indicated to the Firefighters Union, we support in principle what they're trying to achieve with these changes to the Workers' Compensation Act. We have three issues that we need to resolve before we can introduce our legislation. One of those issues is around a medical study currently being conducted, supported by state governments, by Monash University, looking at these links between firefighters' occupations and cancer. Secondly, we need to understand what these changes will mean for other careers and professions. And thirdly, we need to understand what these changes mean for the state's 32,000 volunteer emergency services workers.
Shibs Way, DHK News.
The city of Cockburn is alerting its residents and visitors about Ross River virus, which is spread by mosquito bites. The number of infections has increased across the metropolitan area, and the advice from the council is prevention is better than cure.
The Health Department issued a health warning of the Ross River virus to all residents and visitors of the city of Cockburn. 62 cases of the virus have been reported primarily in the suburbs east of Thompson Lake since the 1st of January 2012. This is a 3 times higher figure than last year. Not only the Cockburn area, but also the whole of Perth's infection cases on the virus have elevated. DHK News understands that most Cockburn residents get the disease after being bitten by mosquitoes. Symptoms of the virus will last for a few months, as it can include skin rashes, sore and painful joints, aching joints, tiredness, fever and headache after being bitten by a mosquito. The City of Cockburn Mayor Logan Howlett said community effort is required to prevent mosquitoes spreading the disease.
People themselves can actually look at their own properties, look at any places where stagnant water may be laying. It could be in gutters, it might be in bird baths, pot plants, etc. So anywhere where there's stagnant water, take some action to make sure that you clear it out and you prevent it from reoccurring.
Mr. Howlett also recommended the public to avoid mosquitoes by wearing long, loose-fitting clothing and use mosquito repellent when being outside. Isabel Huther, DHK News.
The state government has announced that they will spend $57 million to add an extra lane to the Mitchell Freeway. The project will also convert the existing emergency stopping areas into extra lanes in both directions of the Graham Farmer Freeway tunnel as an effort to reduce traffic congestion in the metropolitan area.
With the traffic on our freeways getting worse each day, the state government has finally announced that they'll add more lanes, trying to ease congestion. The new 8-kilometre northbound lane will begin at Graham Farmer Freeway and end at Hutton Street on the Mitchell Freeway. Emergency lanes at the Graham Farmer Freeway tunnel will be converted to extra lanes in both directions to allow more traffic, as there are approximately 100,000 cars using the tunnel every day. Transport Minister Troy Buswell said the plan comes as the works on the Perth foreshore redevelopment will begin at mid-2013.
We've made a decision to do more than that, and that is to put another lane down the Freeway North through to Hutton Street, because our traffic modelling showed that that would give us a much better outcome, not only for the traffic displaced from Riverside Drive, but also for all of the users of the Mitchell Freeway in the evenings who get caught in that traffic snarl as the tunnel and the freeway merge as they head out of the city.
But the Shuttle Transport Minister, Ken Travers, said the government's decision to close Riverside Drive due to the waterfront project is a bad decision.
What I would urge the government is to rethink the bad decision to close Riverside Drive, to allow us to have that future capacity on the Graham Farmer Freeway, and to invest this money in real measures that will improve or reduce congestion in Western Australia.
On the other hand, Troy Buswell has said the maximum speed limit on the new section of Kwinana Freeway between Madanda-Jurak Drive to the south of South Deep Bay will be lifted to 110 km per hour for a 3-month trial period, after a community request for a higher speed limit.
That road's easily designed to take 110 km/h traffic. Most of the traffic on there is travelling at or near 110 km an hour, and Main Roads have conducted their safety analysis of that stretch of road, and that speed limit will change in the near future.
Corr, LEGCO News.
Sport is next with Shibs, who is joining us from the basketball field.
Thanks guys. Basketball this week. In the NBA, the icy cool Utah Jazz put an end to Miami's fiery 9-game winning streak. L. Jefferson scored 20 points and Devin Harris hit a clutch and one floater late in the game to give the Jazz a 99-98 victory over the Heats. LeBron James led the Heats with 35 points and had a chance to win the game on its last possession. But instead of attempting a potentially game-winning shot, he passed to teammate Udonis Haslem, who missed as time expired. Final score, Jazz 99, Heats 98. And just before I go, last week we ran a story about the Europa League. The results should have been Ajax defeated Manchester United 2-1 and not the other way around. So that's all from me outside in the hot and sunny basketball field. Back to you in the studio.
In the air conditioning. And that's how the world looks tonight.
From the DHK family, good evening.
Good night.